Sea turtles are so important because they're really an indicator species. They tell us how our beaches and marine environment are doing. If turtles are doing well, generally speaking, beaches and our coastal resources are doing well. So it's really important that we understand issues that are affecting them and their habitats.
When a sea turtle is made unable to nest, you can be assured that the coastal communities are themselves in jeopardy of the next hurricane that comes along. So the turtle becomes a kind of a canary in the coal mine for the state of Florida.
We've actually had a crawl that went all the way up the escarpment, like that, say that walk over there, that went behind. You know, it was a false crawl.
The bulk of the effort is put in by volunteer effort for monitoring sea turtles in the entire state of Florida.
We mark new nests, we mark false crawls, we monitor them every day until they hatch.
It's right next to the end of that seawall there.
It's just amazing.
Did this one bounce off the wall or impact the wall?
It did. You know how they come up and they'll actually crawl like parallel, about 20 feet or so I've seen before she'll lay the nest.
Exactly,
So.
kind of riding against it, riding along it. That's quite a wall.
We're on day 49, so they're still cooking in there.
Still
almost
cooking.
done.
We can share the beach. There are many cases where you can walk along the beach and view a turtle, which is a wonderful experience. And I'd like to encourage that. So for future generations, we have a nesting beach that sea turtles can return to.
Go and see the turtle and you will be a changed person. To see turtles emerging from a nest at night and running for the sea, I've seen people virtually weep.
Sea turtles are amazing creatures, and I see them as warriors. If you look at 1,000 of hatchlings that come out, only one will reach sexual maturity. So when you're actually looking at a nesting female, you're looking at a survivor. That turtle had to endure so many things to be there at that time. Some people might actually argue that climate change won't cause an impact for sea turtles. Sea turtles have been around for millions of years, and during this time they have adapted past climatic changes. But there are some factors that are different now. First, the rate of climate change is a lot faster than before, and the population of sea turtles have gone through massive declines in the last decade, so any additional impact will cause them more harm. Second, in the past we think that sea turtles adapted to climate change by redistributing their nesting grounds. But now when you look at the coastline, the majority of the coastline is heavily developed, so there's not a lot of places that sea turtles can adapt and move to. When a sea turtle comes up to nest, it actually spends a lot of energy. It's a big deal to come up. But unfortunately, there's so many impacts to some of the nesting areas that sometimes they'll come up and they won't find an optimal place to nest. And they will end up laying those eggs in places that are not optimal for the incubation, which will mean that those eggs will likely not develop and they'll die. Even though it might be so dramatic, the prospects of turtles and climate change, there's definitely some hope out there.
There are some places that have retained their sensibility and their care and their sort of their moral commitment to preserving the beach and not using it as a commodity, as a real estate sales commodity.
We're here in the Archie Carr National Wildlife Refuge, which is our nation's first and only refuge dedicated specifically to the protection of sea turtles.
This is really a remarkable place. It extends for just 20 miles along the mid-Atlantic coastline of Florida. We have natural dunes, we have natural beaches here. They've never been renourished. And what's really amazing is they host about 25 to 30% of all the green sea turtle and loggerhead sea turtle nesting in all of North America.
A lot of folks ask me how sea turtles are doing in Florida, and they have come a long way. And that's a result of 20 years of conservation efforts that have occurred. Sometimes what we do on the beach won't be reflected in those numbers till 20 years later when they return to nest.
The turtle nesting rates at the Archie Car Refuge have been skyrocketing. Now this is a slow process because it takes 20 odd years for the sea turtle to reach sexual maturity. We're up in the thousands of nests on the Archie Car Refuge. It is a model of success in wildlife management. There are subdivisions and people living right behind the sea oats, right behind the sea grapes, behind the sand dunes. And so the Archie Car Refuge literally becomes a model for Florida. If the turtles are nesting and are succeeding in their reproductive behavior, you have a model that is sustainable. And that can be replicated elsewhere in the state. You can have your economic development and protect those beaches.